There goes the red light. Okay. Waiting for that green light. And there it is. We're up. We're on. Hi, guys. Max here. Ranting as I like to rant. Boy, really, here Mondays. Because I don't work Friday or Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, it's the end of the week. I want to talk to you today about a war, a true war on drug dealers and the like. Now let's talk a minute. I don't want to talk about this serious bullshit of George W. Bush's war on drugs, because you cannot wage war on an inanimate object. It's got to be against principalities, powers, people. Okay? All right, let's move along. It appears that in Brazil, their drug war has kicked into high gear. They've had a tough time fighting drug runners, fighting this horrible group called Red Command. Isn't that a cool name? Red Command. We're Red Command. And these guys are kidnappers, major league drug dealers, human traffickers, torture, blackmail. They're into everything. They were formed in the prisons, made their way back outside. Gee, sounds like some other things I know, like Tren de Aragua, born in the prisons. MS-13, born in the prisons. Boy, our prisons are doing a great job, don't you think? Maybe not. Well, let's go. Dateline Rio de Janeiro. That's the capital city of Brazil, for those of you who don't know it. And that's where the dreaded Red Command drug gang has finally met their match. For decades, they have terrorized, tortured, kidnapped, and murdered even the very poorest of Brazil's innocent and not so innocent people. This week, police and army, in a joint operation, struck back in the largest raid in South American history, the largest thing that wasn't part of a declared war. They used the same sort of terror-inspiring tactics, the ones that Red Command calls their trademark. The raid has resulted, here, let me read. The raid resulted in the death and dismemberment of over 150 gangsters, with over 200 more being detained. Boy, you don't want to be detained by Brazilians. We'll get into that. And at least one being decapitated. That means head chopped off. And had his head hung up in a tree for everybody to see. I guess that's how they send a message. Well, the drug gangs in Mexico do it. The drug gangs in El Salvador, in Venezuela, right here in Brazil, that's how they do it. This is a warning apt to be heeded by Red Command, since none of these cowardly bastards wants to end up the same way. Motivated by the impending International Climate Summit, Brazil's government has gone postal with Red Command. And I mean, they've gone on their ass. It's nice. The current body count is 150 dead, 200 captured, at least one decapitated, put on display, and 4 police officers have lost their lives. Gangsters were hunted down. They were bound, dragged into open fields. Some were tortured. They were executed, stripped, and their bodies were laid out like just so much cordwood. You know what? That's what you need, because elements of the Brazilian army, they helped. They helped to locate, identify, track down, and then they dropped bombs on the gangsters from heavy lift drones. This is some cool stuff, okay? At the battle's peak, and it was a battle. It was like mega firefight from Vietnam, mega firefight in Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. This was big shit, okay? At the battle's peak, armored personnel carriers, Bradley assault vehicles, a Huey helicopter, and heavy lift drones were used by the army to turn the tide. For a short while, that tide was going against them under a hail of bullets, Molotov cocktails, and bombs. The firefight lasted over 20 minutes. Dude, if you've ever been in a firefight, you know that 20 minutes is just damn near insane. It's so rare. And here it is in the streets of Rio de Janeiro. Police said this raid followed a year-long investigation into Red Command. Prior police raids have often sparked firefights, and gangs have operated drones, dropping Molotov cocktails on law enforcement. In this latest raid again, 4 police officers and a soldier have lost their lives. A particularly violent little bastard, 19-year-old kid, little terrorist shit, whose gang name was Escrimista. That's Portuguese for swordsman. So he was a swordsman. He had this great machete he used to twirl around and chop people up with. Well, he was decapitated after attacking officers with his machete. You know what they say, never bring a machete to a machine gun fight. That little bastard learned the right way. His brutal assault took the life of a policeman. His distraught mother said that they hung her son's head from a tree like a trophy. Well, look, Raquel Tomas, mama of the swordsman, this 19-year-old punk, she said, and I quote, "They slit my son's throat, cut his neck, and hung his head from a tree like a trophy." And she went on with her whining, the whining of a failed mother, arguing in the case of family. She said, I quote again, "They executed my son without giving him a chance to defend himself." That's a lie. He was murdered. Maybe. Everyone deserves a second chance, this failed mother says. During any operation, police should do their job, arrest suspects, and not execute them. Well, all right. This little punk's chance to defend himself ended when he attacked and killed a police officer with a machete. That's a horrible way to die. That officer had a mother, a wife, 3 children, 4 brothers and sisters. Where was his second chance? Huh? No, your little shit swung a knife, paid the price. Some of the gangsters' bodies are showing signs of torture, like burn marks and unusual cuts. And many of these, like they say, they were tied up before they died. What the hell? Local attorney, I love this shyster, name is Albino Pereira Neto. I hope I pronounced it wrong. Good. He's representing 3 of the grieving families in court. Now, he feels there are grounds for court action, but you know what? If I was him, oh, Albino, I would not hold my breath. I love that. Hundreds of police using helicopters, armed vehicles, armed drones entered this. It's a dual ghetto, which is the home of Red Command. Hold on a sec. There you go. I had to cough up crap. Whatever. I'm old, okay? They moved into on their home turf. Red Command was invaded for the first time. They're the oldest criminal gang in the country, and this area was a war zone. We got a local who spoke up, having kept his head down as the firefights broke out all over the place between police, gangsters, army. He says, I quote, "It only ended when the army came in to help with grenade-dropping drones of their own." Now, how did this start? Okay, as the operation began, some intel was leaked because these gangsters have people on the inside. So the gangsters responded with drones of their own, dropping Molotov cocktails on police and bystanders. They even drew the police into a trap where possible escape routes were blocked with buses, trucks, barricades. A police spokesman said, and I quote, "This is how the Rio police are treated by criminals, with bombs dropped by drones." He continued. He said, "This is the scale of the challenge we face. This is not an ordinary crime, but narco-terrorism." Rio police said that they herded as many known criminals as they could into nearby forest to try to protect innocent civilians. Too many innocent civilians did lose their lives, but not because the police didn't do a good job, but because these bastards at Red Command have spies in the army, probably, in the police, definitely, who tipped them off. And rather than run away and hide, they set up a trap for cops, eventually the army. They lost. Okay, again, final figures. Good guys, 350 caught or captured. Bad guys, 5. And you'll pay for that, I swear to God. And as for this, where's this 19-year-old bastard? Hey, I'm talking to the ghost of Escrimista. I guess when you want to get ahead, hang it from a tree, baby. The war on drug runners, traffickers, gangsters, and thugs. You know what? The United States could take some lessons from this. Open our eyes, open our ears, and don't be afraid to try something new.